Hello YouTubers, welcome to my channel. We are going to now be looking at chapter 3 of Lady C's book. My initial thought after reading this chapter was it really told you a lot about Meghan's character. You were really able to see why she has done the things that she has done now by the things that were written in chapter 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the pages that I read, and I highlighted certain information within each page, and then I'll just talk about that information. But the underlining theme, I felt like it was a really good analysis of her character and how she has progressed from her initial way and values of doing things to how it has all led up to what she's been able to do today. So let's go ahead and look at this first part we got here. Unlike Harry, who found stability when he left school and entered the army, Meghan's experience of entering the real world after graduating from universities was one of struggle and strife. She returned to California and her father, who was happy to support her while she tried to get a break in the industry. All thoughts of being a Broadway star replaced with the intention of becoming a star of the screen. So this I can really relate to, because myself as an actor, when I did live in Los Angeles, there's always this struggle. You try to find this balance between earning a living and then being flexible enough to go out on auditions. Like, your agent will call you the day before an audition. You need to be there like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Can you get there? And when you work a regular 9 to 5, you just can't really do that. You have to be able to leave your job and without, getting fired, and come back maybe 2-3 hours later because of the traffic situation in LA is just horrendous. So there is this big conflict between earning a living and being able to be flexible enough to go on auditions. And so Meghan was lucky in the respect that she had her father who was going to support her. And that is huge. That is a really, really big deal, because this set the whole foundation for her even being able to pursue a career in acting. And she would literally have to owe her father for her any kind of success that she would find as an actor, because he was there. He supported her. He was the one who allowed her to go on audition after audition after audition, and to finally, book a job here and there with his support. And so if you can see that, and we all know that Meghan's not even talking with her father right now, but just that whole thing right there was a big thing that he did for her. And I find it so appalling that, to her, that was not really a big deal, obviously, because she doesn't speak to him to this day. And for me, I can really relate, because when she became an actress back after she graduated college, it was a real struggle for her. So she needed someone to replace her father, what he was doing for her. So she was on the lookout for someone who was going to support her in replace of her father, because, she knew she could get a man that was going to help take care of her. And that's what she needed to do. Now, going on to the next page, what Meghan had in spades was ambition, but it was an ambitiousness way beyond her discernible attributes, meaning that any success she achieved would be down to her character more than anything else. Now, let me just stop there. This is so true, because you can have ambition. You can be, gung-ho about making it as an actor. You want it more than anything. And I can tell you that was me at one time. I wanted to be an actress, a successful actress, more than anything. But what happens? You have a conflict of what will you do? What does your character allow you to do? What is it that your morals, what do they say about you? Do you have a morals enough to say, hey, there's just certain things I will not do regardless of my ambitions, right? What I found with Meghan was, regardless of what the situation was, she had ambition, and she was going to get what she was going to get. And if that meant having to do whatever to get what she wanted, she was going to do it because that's how important it was for her. And I can see that as a problem most young actresses would have, because there is a conflict of character. There is a real big conflict of character when your ambitions bring you to a point of, do I really want it that bad? I don't know. I don't know. Do I really want to be an actress? Because I found when I went to California and I started to see how the things worked with my naive self, it was a big wake-up call, because you really want to get something legitimately. You want to get it through hard work. But sometimes at the end of the day, it comes down to some things that I just wasn't willing to do. I just wasn't willing to do. So, and I know that some people do. Hey, and that's fine. If you're an adult, you're an adult, you can do what you want to do. But some things just didn't sit well with me. And so we know that for her, Meghan, it was everything. And I think in part it molded her into the character that she is today, because she had to become that ambitious actress, and whatever that meant, she had to become that to get success in her career as an actress. All you have to be is astute enough to maximize your assets, stylish enough, photographed enough, praised enough for the general public to associate you with beauty. Diana, Princess of Wales, was a case in point. A reasonable, good-looking woman with a nose too large, a mouth too small, cheekbones too flat, but good eyes, good coloring, good clothing, good hairstyle. Sufficient exposure for familiarity to breed acceptance of the illusion as reality. A stylish and attractive woman was accepted as the beauty she was through repetition and expert packaging. Hey, can I get somebody to do some of that packaging with me? Because I can tell you there is a difference. And I know when Miss Camilla became part of the royal family, didn't she just look a little different? She had like a certain glow about her that she didn't have prior her marriage to Prince Charles. What they got over there, some secret potion? I mean, they got something, because they can give you some styles and package you in a way that you just look like you had a rebirth or something. You don't even look half like the same person anymore. And essentially that's what happened. But, you know, Diana, there was more for her. I think it was a very internal beauty that Princess Diana had, and it glowed, and she came across as someone who was well packaged into her character, who she was, my opinion, and what they did for her on the outside. And they made her look very beautiful. And I really do agree with that. And I think that did happen for Meghan. She definitely looks different in her royal family years than she did prior to coming into the royal family. So you just have to appreciate when people got money, they can just do certain things, y'all. They can just do certain things. And in some ways it's bad for young girls growing up now, because they see it and they want it, and they don't understand that there's a whole machine behind these celebrities and these people that we see, and the young girls try to attain that, and that can be very frustrating for them. And I think it hurts their self-esteem, and they can come across as not feeling like they're good enough. But, you know, really understanding how all that works with the media is so important for young girls especially. But, you know, maybe Meghan could have been that person. You know, you could have looked at her as someone who was going to help show us, you know, a real person doesn't try to be a good person behind the glamour of the packaging. They shine through regardless. And their character really shows us who they are. So we got Meghan's character when she was leaving Hollywood, and she brought that same character into the royal family. And we didn't see no inner beauty with Meghan, because when they repackaged her and made her look different, she just didn't really have a glow spark of that internal beauty that we look for, that we could see with Diana. And it just is something that you either are a good person or you're not. And I think in Meghan's, years in Hollywood, hey, the character of who she was then, it was the same person when they put on the lipstick. And she didn't look any different in terms of that, something you kind of look at and say, wow, she is a good person. We just didn't get that with Meghan. Meghan's first real break came about through her connections, not through her own efforts. And there is every possibility she would not have even got a reading had she not been put up for it by her good friend from Northwestern, Lindsay Roth, who had a casting job on a Kushner romantic comedy called A Lot Like Love. So this is the other thing, the other aspect of making it in the industry. You really do have to have connections. And I can tell Meghan was working her connections. She was like, what you do? What you do? Like, she was wanting to know, like, what everybody did. Can I use you? Can I use you for a job? Oh, you a waiter too, like me? Oh, okay. I ain't got no use for you, and keep it moving, right? But yeah, she knew she had to work those connections, because without those connections, you're not getting hardly anywhere. And sadly, that's just how things are. And you have to kind of use people sometimes. At least that's what she ended up doing. Not everyone wants to do that. I know for myself, if I was going to meet someone and befriend someone, it was going to be because I wanted to, and not because I was trying to use people to get a certain place. And that's the one thing I had a real hard problem with, using people. I just, sometimes you just can't do certain things. But, she was working her connections, and she did what she had to do. So her friend hooked her up. I find it interesting, though, that she was saying she couldn't get a reading. I mean, we all know, we've all seen Meghan act. I mean, I don't really think she has the acting chops like she thinks she does. And sometimes people just don't have a good perception of who they are and their abilities. They just kind of fall short that way. Keeping her father sweet helped to keep the wolf from the door, and so too did keeping her spirits up. A real party girl who went out as often as she could, doubtless with the dual motives of enjoying herself, meeting people who might help her along the road to success. She lucked up on one night in 2004 when she went to a happening dive in West Hollywood, where young up-and-coming producers, directors, writers, actors, and actresses all congregated in the belief that they were being more real by avoiding more conventional and expensive establishments. Meghan heard someone whose voice caught her attention. He was bold, confident. She also liked that she saw a Berkeley 6-footer with the body of an athlete and the reddish golden locks of a surfer, whose bright blue eyes exuded certainty. Trevor Ingleson had the persona of a man on his way. Born in Great Neck, Long Island, New York in October 1976. He was educated in the hometown before studying journalism and at the University of Southern California, Los Angeles. So she met Trevor, and I know that when she met him, she was like, okay, let me tell you what she was thinking. She was like, okay, I can bear what he looks like. So he's kind of good to the eye. He's in the industry. He's very ambitious like I am. He's up and coming. So let me go ahead and tag that right now so I can get me a little security line on the inside of the business. And that's what she did. That's what she did, y'all. And she got him, and he was the one that was going to help open doors for her. That's what it was. So one thing led to another before the night was done, and Meghan had hooked up with Trevor. Their romance thereafter moved at a very quick, decisive pace. She moved in with him before a year was out. This was suited for her. Living with Trevor, who was earning good money, took the financial pressures off of her, but she couldn't live off of him entirely. So she had a succession of jobs while waiting for her big break. She included acting as a hostess in a Beverly Hills restaurant, teaching gift wrapping in a local store, blah, 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 doing calligraphy and all that. Okay, so she knew, okay, like I said, this is going to be her way to kind of get the bills paid, and I can work and do these little odd kind of jobs while still doing my career. And it happens a lot in California for young girls. They just, hey, you do what you got to do. She felt it was a classy thing to do with the calligraphy, developing like a classy persona per se. Some people found her demeanor sophisticated, while others regarded her as pretentious and full of crap. And an early indication of the way Meghan would divide and has continued to divide opinion. Although the producers of Suits sang her praises publicly, another Hollywood producer told me that Meghan Markle was not well regarded in the industry. But now that she is the Duchess of Sussex, people who wouldn't give her the time of day are now happy to consider doing business with her. Success does breed success, and I know from friends of hers that Meg is focused on success and doesn't really care if people don't like her. This is so key, you guys, because, if your ambition takes you that deep in, like you just got to have it that bad that you don't care if people don't like you, you just creating enemies all day long. You just like, I don't care. I'm getting what I got to get, and you get to stepping out the way if you don't like me. And by the way, I don't like you, and keep it moving. Like that was the attitude. That was the attitude. Like, can you relate to that? But it really does speak to how the industry is, because you have to. And people do it all the time in other professions, I can imagine. Like, they just want to get to where they have to go. And if you make enemies, you just are going to make enemies. But I find it interesting that she was not very well regarded in the industry. And I wonder why. Was it because of her acting abilities, or was it because of something else? Like, I don't know. But we can see that it had something to do with her attitude. People didn't really like her in terms of who she was, because she seemed very fake almost. That's what I'm kind of gathering from this. And I can imagine that people in the industry probably talk to each other, and they know who is trying to do what, and people talk, things get around, and she just started to have a personality about her that people just didn't like. And so even Meghan knew, if I become Duchess, then they're going to want to talk to me. And I think that's what she was banking on. She was banking on, hey, I've left Hollywood. I've given up the acting thing now, but I'm going to marry this guy. I'm going to become the Duchess of Sussex. And then people, all of a sudden, all the doors are going to want to open. They're going to all open. But I think they would have opened had she played her cards better. But we've got a lot of things that she has done that have just put people off. And I'm just not so sure that they really want anything to do with her now, because of how she has behaved, how she's treated the royal family, how she behaved at Wimbledon, just how she's starting to come off even now as someone who thinks things should just happen just because. And people like, well, you may be Duchess of Sussex, but you ain't all that. During the filming of the second season of Suits, however, Meghan's life experienced another upgrade. Toronto is a much smaller and more cohesive city than LA. It also offers tax breaks to the film industry, so as a vibrancy out of all proportion to its location. An ensemble actress in a burgeoning cable series such as Suits is a far greater consequence there than she would be in the film capital of the world. If she is so inclined, she will soon be mixing with all of Canada's elite. And Meghan was very much inclined. By the third series, she had met and become friends with Jessica Mulroney, stylist wife of Ben Mulroney, whose father had been a Canadian Prime Minister, Brian Mulroney, and Jessica Gregory, and her husband, Justin Trudeau. So she had her connections with the higher ups from her days working in Canada with, that small group of people who are the uppers of society. And so she was able to find her way into a more elite crowd of people. And this is how she ended up meeting Harry. So she was also focused on realizing her ambitions and was also too intent on having a good time traveling the world with Trevor, visiting places such as Vietnam, Central America, or just partying with him and making herself visible on the social scene as she could to bother with humanitarianism. So going, skipping a few pages ahead, we see that she's married to Trevor. She's going on the third season of Suits. Trevor's starting to look boring to her. She's meeting these upper people now in society. She's meeting people that got some real power. Suddenly that Trevor guy don't look so powerful anymore. Suddenly he kind of looks like the small kind of guy, right? Hey, and she saw that she had to get out of that relationship because now she was meeting with the real powerful people, the people who are the decision makers of a country. So she's like, this small time producer, you needs to get going because I ain't got time for you no more. And that all went to her head. Suddenly she was like, she got a secure job on this cable show, meeting all these people. It wasn't about the marriage at this point. It wasn't about trying to make the marriage work. It was always about her ambitions to get to what does she want. And that's what happened. In his biography, Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, Andrew Morton implies that Meghan began to despise Trevor because she had started looking down on him now that she had moved up in the world. He wasn't doing as well as she'd have liked. And moreover, his exuberant personality had started to grate now that she was mixing in a more refined circle. You see, my friends? So the picture is painted for us. Thank you, Lady C. She's showing us. And can't you just see it? Can't you just envision it? That is so true. What problems was she having in her marriage? What issues could have possibly been so dire and bad that she just had to divorce the guy? Nikki, her friend, a more negative view and thought that Meghan had become harder and more opportunistic with the passage of time. I think Meghan was calculated, very calculated in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivates circles of friends. Now, and this is... and all the people that want to give Meghan a pass now because, they make excuses for her or whatever. This is how you really get to know a person, by their actions and the things that they have done. Not hearsay, not things that you think might have happened, but the actual facts. And the fact is, she just dumped her husband. The friends have said it. Trevor said it. Meghan hasn't refuted that. She wasn't saying, he beat me, or, he was a womanizer, or he cheated on me, so I left. She didn't say that, right? So we know it was a good marriage. It was a decent marriage. They were living in two different states. He was in California. She was in Canada. They had to make a lot of effort. Apparently, he made a lot of effort to come visit with her in Canada. And he thought everything was fine. But, the ego, the head was getting just bigger and bigger and bigger. Every year that she got renewed for that job on Suits, her head got a little bit bigger and a little bit more. And poor little Trevor, his head got a little bit smaller. He was just like, oh, another year on Suits. He got smaller. Another year on Suits. And he got smaller. Like he wasn't nothing. Every year that she went on to get another year on that contract for that cable show, he was less important to her. because she was getting her power through her continued success on that show and meeting all these great people. And suddenly Trevor's like, he's looking like a chewing gum on the bottom of my shoe. He's like, he's just there. And she got to find a way to pick him off, right? He just got to find a way. How am I going to get him out of my life? Because I'm ready to go do me now. I don't need him. That's what happened. So according to Nikki's interpretation of Meghan's motives, having found herself a new and more classy circle of friends, she did not wish to be bogged down with her embarrassing misfit of a husband or even her old, less establishment circle of friends. Even the friends she got rid of. She's like, I got me some elite friends now, so y'all can get to skaloodling. Y'all can skedaddle. Once she decides you're not part of her life, she can be very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she had. There's nothing to negotiate. She's made her decision and that's it. It was like a light switched off. There's Meghan before fame and then there is Meghan after fame. And after 3 seasons of Suits, she called me to say the marriage was over. Maybe she had started to change before then, but I was refusing to see it. This is her friend Nikki talking. And, you know, Nikki is saying this. We only know this because of her friend Nikki, but let's think critically now. Does that sound logical? Yeah. It sounds logical that that's what happened. Because who would not become a little bit more, you know, astute? I'm on a television show. I've got another contract. And you may start thinking of yourself as someone who's all high and mighty. But sometimes it takes a great person to say, hey, look, I may have this show today, but I'm never going to forget where I came from. It takes a special person to be able to do that, because the allure of the superficialness of the television show and the circle of friends, now these elite friends, you know, that all that stuff is not really important. But when someone has so much ambition like Meghan, that becomes everything. That becomes everything. And so it just seems like the natural progression. Doesn't seem abnormal or like you shouldn't be saying that. That didn't happen to my Meghan. But there's nothing to defend there. That just seems like a very natural thing that would happen in the circumstances that we find her in with this television show and her friends now. It takes a lot to break the back of a lifelong friendship, but there were 2 straws that did it for Nikki Pretty. The first was when Meghan fell in love with a rescue dog and she tried to wrest it away from someone who had displayed interest in it before Meghan did. She emailed the pet people asserting that the dog would have a better life in the Suits family than it would with the other prospective owner. Nikki felt she was playing the Suits card to gain an advantage to which she had no entitlement, and it left a sour taste in my mouth. Yeah, you see. So we can see the progression, right? So she's on this show, Suits, and her head just got big and she was like, I deserve that dog because I'm on a television show. Now, that's what she did. It's not the Tig. She has another blog, The Working Actress was the name of it. From January of 2010, she had revealed things in her blog. So a lot of the things that we know about what she was doing, or Lady C knows, is because these are things that she had wrote about when she was blogging about it. I think it's very well written, this book, and you can really see how Meghan, when she's come into certain people's lives, how she was one way, then she became another way, and now at every turn in her life, things changed, and she started to do things differently, and it just seems it flows very well with the timeline of things that we have seen based on even the interviews. And a lot of the things that Lady C has in this book are from interviews, things that Meghan has said herself. Make no mistake about it, though, Meghan is clever. She intended to use the blog that she had to boost her profile as well as bank balance. Thereafter, she approached celebrities who crossed her path and offered them a platform to air their views. So it was a good move. I think it really was. Hey, she's got this blog. She can invite some people or celebrities to interview them or talk about what they're doing and get an end to them. Very good way to kind of be conniving. So then we have the Tig, the was instrumental in another area of Meghan's life. She had fancied the celebrity chef Cory Vitello ever since she had first seen him in his downtown Toronto restaurant, the Harbour Room. He was a highly desirable man about town who had enjoyed a series of high-profile romances, including with the former member of parliament, businesswoman, and philanthropist Belinda Stronach, whose billionaire father Frank is one of Canada's richest men, and television personality and humanitarian Tanya Kim, who hosted a popular talk show with Ben Mulroney. You see all the dots connecting, how she kind of weaseled her way into this circle. So Cory would be a feather in her cap if she could somehow contrive to bag him, which she did through the simple expedient of publishing a glowing review of his restaurant in the Tig, which contained an even more glowing regard for the chef himself. Like, oh, he cute. I'm going to write about his restaurant, but I'm going to talk about how handsome he is and all this stuff. And then he going to read it. He going to know I want him. You know, that's how she was going to get him to kind of know, say, hey, look, let's hook up. According to one of Meghan's childhood friends who wishes to remain anonymous, she is extremely seductive when she targets people she wants to impress. It doesn't matter whether it is a man or a woman. If Meg wants to suck you into her orbit, she pulls out all the stops. She's learned a long time ago that flattery works. So marvelous. Everything you do is great. I want nothing from you except to admire you. She's wonderfully spontaneous. No one is more enthusiastic, especially when she wants to ensnare a man. She makes out that his every mundane action is a unique gift to humanity. Few people, even fewer men, can resist an onslaught of such positivity from someone as appealing as Meghan. This makes her very seductive. Men don't want to resist the outpouring, and because she seems so sincere, they end up hooked on her. Wow, so we can see Meghan is just finding her way through the people who are going to help get her to the heights of the royalty. She is on her way, y'all. She got that little gum off of her shoe called Trevor, her husband. She's got her cable show, 3 years now. She's got her Tig that had 2 million followers. She saw Cory. She went after him. She had her friend Nikki, who she wasn't really kind of feeling anymore because she got her other friends. So things are going as planned for her. In this chapter, Lady C also talks about the relationship that Harry had with the 2 young ladies, Cressida and Chelsea. Is that how you say it, Cressida? I don't know. But anyway, his relationship with the 2 young ladies, you know, was good. They talked about how these girls just didn't want to have nothing to do with this royal family. They could see the writing on the wall. And what I don't understand is Meghan, she's a smart girl. I think Meghan, she was too ambitious to see the writing on the wall. She was just like, I want to get Harry. I don't care what you say. The other girls, Chelsea and them, they were like, we don't want that. We don't want that because we know that's going to be a crazy life. But Meghan, she didn't care because she was so ambitious to get what she wanted. She didn't care what all the other people were saying about, girl, you better be sure about this marriage to someone in the royal family. You're going to lose your freedom. She didn't care because she was too ambitious to get what she wanted. She didn't want to look at the writing on the wall. And that burned her because her ambition in this instance burned her. It got her something that she should never have taken.